Bigfoot sighting guides. What worked in 2020? I've hunted and fished for decades and never had an encounter, but then we started racing horses and everything has changed. In the last 6 years of endurance horse training, we've had more and more encounters, and then a sighting in 2019 and in 2020. Because we race and ride around predators up in the mountains on up to 50-mile endurance races, we've become more aware of our surroundings, and I'm finding this is key to having encounters and sightings. Some of the things that worked really well are camping, being loud, having fun, hiking, mountain bike riding, horseback riding, having awareness of your surroundings, being able to listen, and using the law of attraction really worked. So that last thing, the law of attraction, is something that seems to work whether you're hiking, biking, camping, whatever it is you're doing out in the forest. The main thing is to get out and make some noise, bring them into you. You can try and stealthily hunt them and have no success, and there's people that have done it for 50 years or more. What's been continuously working for us over the last 6 years is going out in the forest, having lots of fun, laughing, talking, making calls, just enjoying the forest, and that seems to attract them to us. There's an old saying, you don't hunt them, they hunt you. We didn't learn this by reading a book or something somebody said. We actually found it out by just going out and enjoying our rides and having fun. And we started noticing that rocks are being thrown at us. There's tree knocks. There's stomping in the woods nearby. We were having quite a bit of activity pretty much at most of the camps that we went to. And then in 2019, we had multiple sightings. Thinking that it was a possibility we might have them at this area, we went back the next year to make a short film with my new camera on what happened the year before, and had multiple sightings again right in the same area. Because camping gets results, let's start with camping. We ride and train our endurance horses year-round, but we typically don't start camping until early spring, and then we camp all the way through fall. We have races monthly, and so every other weekend we're at a different campsite training and getting ready for the big race that would be coming up that month. The best time to see a Bigfoot is going to be spring or early summer. From what we've found, we've had sightings in both June and July. It's a great time of year to get out. The days are longer, the weather is warmer. You can stay out later and sit around the campfire listening for calls or knocks or whatever's going to happen in the area that you're in. Oregon has probably 100 campgrounds. They're all over the place in the Cascades and in the Coast Range. We like to camp anywhere where it's wooded and where there's established trails to ride the horse on. Remember, our primary reason for being there is to train the horse. Secondary is camping and having fun. I should put having fun as first, then riding the horse, then camping, but I think you get the gist of it. Some of the campgrounds that we go to are pretty far away from civilization, and others are not that far out of some of the local towns. And even at those, I've had rocks thrown at me in midday while there were probably 100 people camping in the campground 500 to 1,000 feet just below it. So basically you can have activity pretty much anywhere, anytime in the Coast Range or the Cascades of Oregon. We set up our camp pretty much the same way every time, and we do have checklists that we have made up so that we don't leave anything home, and we have everything that we need with us, including casting material and everything I need for the GoPro 8. We had a couple of encounters near camp this year, one at Mount Adams Horse Camp and another one up at Mount Hood. And one thing that they had in common is we had our camp set up the way that we always set up, and we barbecued outside so the scent could drift. We made tons of noise that day while riding out on trails, and coming back to camp, we played around with the dogs and just had fun. We think that the noise attracted Bigfoot in while at Mount Adams. We, of course, sat outside and would listen to music, and then once in a while we just turn it off and listen to the sounds of the forest. And just a little bit after dark, my solar-powered motion sensor lights got triggered, and our horse went on high alert. I walked out to investigate, and something was stomping around up in the tree line just above me. I couldn't quite see what it was, but pretty sure it wasn't a deer or an elk, because they usually keep going instead of trying to circle me. While camping up at Mount Hood this year, we got our barbecue going again and had music playing off and on. And then about twilight, we started to hear howls. And the howling lasted for about an hour and got louder and louder as whatever it was approaching us. I went out to investigate, but it was pitch black, and the moaning and howling was down by a nearby creek. I walked down to the creek. It was just after twilight, and whatever it was walking up the creek bed. I could hear it stomping through the brush and walking towards me. When I finally turned my flashlight on, I thought I'd see eye shine or an elk or a big bear, but there was nothing there. And it was just pitch black, and whatever it was just behind some trees down the hillside from me. I quickly turned around and made my way back to camp, put a lot of wood on the fire, and that night the motion sensor lights went off once or twice, and I went out to check on the horses, but couldn't see or hear anything. The motion sensor lights are great for scaring off predators. So the lights work great while camping. Because they're solar powered, you can put them anywhere you want to. Just be ready for when they come on. It could be a 200-pound mountain lion or a 1,000-pound Bigfoot. You never know. We think that loud music also attracts them in. While we were at Mount Hood, our neighbors had their music just cranked really loud, and I could hear screams over the top of the music because we were camped on the edge of the campground. Camping on the edge of the campground has benefits. You're away from others. It's darker. You can see further, hear further. It's just a great way to go. So if you can camp on the edge of a campground, you'll have much better chance of hearing and seeing something. Where we were camped, the neighbors with their music playing so loud they didn't hear a thing, but we could hear the howls over the top of it. And I was able to walk down to the creek and investigate something that the neighbors would have never thought to do or wouldn't have known to do because of the noise that we're making. Bigfoot seemed to be very curious, and because we keep camping in different areas, we increase the chances of coming across a group of Bigfoot or a Bigfoot, in that we think that they move around quite a bit. Most of the time they're not in the same spot twice. I've had them throw rocks at me in one area and then just go back and nothing for a couple trips back to that same area. So using the law of attraction, if there are any around, they'll hear you, they'll smell your cooking, They'll hear your music, they'll hear your animals, and they're very curious. They're going to come closer to see what's going on, especially if they don't think you're any threat. And by being a regular camper, you seem to be less of a threat to them than somebody walking around with a hunting rifle. I'm sure they've seen plenty of those. In a couple of the campgrounds that we've been to, we've had them scream at us, we've had them throw rocks near us, we've had them push trees over several times. I've had lots of knocks and howling and just lots of activity. So I recommend camping if you want to see Bigfoot. Your chances will increase if you can go places that are used less, if there's fewer people around. If you're going to places that are heavily used and there's tons of people, you're going to decrease your odds. But find that campground that's a little further out than the others, and you'll have better luck. And when you go to that campground, if you can get a place that's if you can camp in an area further away from other people on the edge of the campground, that's even better. Once you're there, set up quickly and start relaxing and having fun. Turn up the music at times, get a good barbecue going. Fish works great. Burgers are fine. Just whatever you can create a good smell. Smells carry quite a distance. Make lots of noise, have fun, laugh. Just be the opposite of a hunter. Be the loud, happy group of people that's just having fun. This seems to really attract them in. After having a day of fun and making lots of noise, just before twilight you'll want to set up for a night visual, and I'd recommend getting a couple comfortable chairs and have them face off into the forest and just sit and listen. Have the music play and then just go dead silent and just listen to the forest for a while. Talk in low tones and just be aware of the noises of the forest. You'll hear sounds, you'll hear things that most people won't. We found that they're usually off in the distance, so you have to listen carefully. If you're not hearing anything, well then create something. I like to take a baseball bat. You can knock on a few trees. We've had them respond to us by knocking back. We've had them respond by pushing trees over and sometimes calling back to us. But most camping activity that we've had is right at twilight or just after twilight. Seems to be a great time. They're up and moving around, and they've come into a position where they can watch your camp for the night and wander in later. And we've actually had them come down into camp. Some people that were camping next to us had one walk right up into their horse corral and was irritating the horse so much at 3 in the morning that they woke up to see what was going on and walked out to watch one run off in through the trees. The next morning, they packed up. I was asking them where they were going. They're supposed to spend a couple extra days. And over a cup of coffee, they told me that they had sighted something in the middle of the night that got their horse all riled, and they were leaving and weren't coming back. This campground was in the Coast Range above Timber, Oregon, and not many people go to it. It's not known for Bigfoot activity, and yet there you are. Just up the road from it, at another campground, we've had them push over trees and had one scream at first light one morning about 4 or 5 years back. So even though it's not on any known Bigfoot map, does not mean there is no activity. So there you are. Step 1, go camping. If you can't go hiking or biking, at least you're getting up there. You're doing step 1, which is going to get you closer to them. And who knows, you may have a sighting. Just watch and listen to the forest. Be aware of what's going on around you. and you'll increase your chances of having an encounter. In the next What Worked in 2020 video, I'll go over horseback riding and mountain biking, hiking. These are things that really helped to increase our chances of having a sighting. Getting to a campground is very important, but getting out away from it is just as important. By going up nearby trails, your sound is able to carry further. You're able to pull in predators and increase your chances of an encounter immensely. And when we ride up the trails, we don't do it quietly. We don't do it on purpose for a couple reasons. One is bears tend to run away from you if you're making noise. They become aware of you, and when they see how large you are on your bike or you are on your horse, they really don't want to mess with you. This year we came across some mother and cubs and a few rattlesnakes and other things that because we're making noise, they moved off. But we also use sound to let each other know where we're at. But I'll get into that in the next section, which will be What Worked in 2020, horseback riding and trail riding. I'll see you then. Please like and subscribe to this channel for further updates on how to have a encounter or sighting. And just know that it helps people that normally can't get out into the woods actually have a out in the woods experience. These videos I'm shooting, I haven't gone through them foot by foot to see if there's anything in them. So please comment if you see something and let me know. Thank you.